Microsoft just lost $357 billion in market cap in a single day. January 29th, 2026, the second largest single-day stock wipeout in history, right behind Nvidia's DeepSeek crash. And the thing that triggered it? Wall Street finally looked at the numbers behind Copilot and asked a very simple question: where is the money?
Where's the money?
Because here's the stat Microsoft does not want you to focus on. Out of 440 million Microsoft 365 commercial seats, only 8 million are paying for Copilot. That's a 1.8% conversion rate after 2 full years on the market. After being the centerpiece of everything Microsoft has talked about, that number is embarrassing. But here's what makes this story actually interesting, and what nobody else is covering. This isn't just a product that flopped. This is a product that is actively making Microsoft's other products worse. Copilot isn't failing in isolation. It's dragging Windows 11, Microsoft 365, and even Microsoft's stock price down with it. And Microsoft's response has been to push it harder. Let me give you the context. Satya Nadella, Microsoft's CEO, compared Copilot to the invention of the personal computer. Exact words. He called it a new category of computing, as important as the PC in the 80s, the web in the 90s, mobile in the 2000s. That's a lot of confidence for an assistant that can't bold text in a Word document. And that's not a joke. Real user, real complaint, posted on Microsoft's own support forum. They asked Copilot to change dates in a Word doc to bold. Copilot's response? Step-by-step instructions on how to do it yourself. That's not an AI assistant. That's a help article with extra steps. And this keeps coming up. People ask Copilot to pull their recently opened files. It returns files from years ago. People ask it to insert content into an open document. It refuses. One user literally called it a negative productivity boost, which is the most polite way I've ever heard someone describe a tool that makes your work worse. But here's the part that really matters. The money part. Microsoft has committed over $13 billion into OpenAI. Bill Gates actually warned Nadella about this back in 2019, told him he was going to burn billions. Nadella kept going. By 2025, Microsoft was spending over $30 billion per quarter on capital expenditures, GPUs, CPUs, data center infrastructure. Their first half fiscal 2026 capex hit $72.4 billion. For context, that quarterly spend is higher than Microsoft's entire annual capex from just 4 years ago. And what's running on all that infrastructure? Copilot, the product with a 1.8% conversion rate. Now, here's where it gets really interesting, and this is the angle I think everyone is missing. The problem with Copilot isn't that AI assistants are a bad idea. The problem is that Copilot is a worse version of something that already exists, made by the company that funded the better version. Microsoft invested $13 billion into OpenAI. Copilot runs on OpenAI's models, historically GPT-4, with a bunch of Microsoft's modifications layered on top. But those modifications apparently made it worse. So what happened? Microsoft's own employees started paying out of pocket for ChatGPT, their own staff, using their own money. To avoid the product their company built on top of the same technology. User satisfaction data tells the same story. ChatGPT scores 97% for ease of use and 93% for meeting requirements. Copilot, 86%. Now, 86% sounds fine until you realize this is the tool Microsoft is betting its entire future on, and it's measurably worse than the competitor it literally funded into existence. And it's not just ChatGPT. Claude from Anthropic just works for a lot of coding tasks. Grok from xAI handles conversational queries well. Google Gemini is eating into Microsoft's search and productivity play. Meanwhile, Copilot sits in your Windows 11 taskbar, asking if you need help, and then telling you to help yourself. So Microsoft's enterprise dream isn't materializing. They hired Forrester Consulting to project ROI numbers, 137% to 367% return on investment, 6 to 13% efficiency gains. Those numbers looked great in the pitch deck. In reality, 70% of Fortune 500 companies technically adopted Copilot, but only 6% completed an enterprise-wide rollout. The rest? Pilot programs, limited trials, kicking the tires and deciding it wasn't worth $30 per seat per month. One IT buyer at Microsoft's own Ignite conference said it bluntly, "Am I getting $30 of value per user per month?" The short answer is no, and that's what's been holding further adoption back. Microsoft eventually dropped the price to $21 for smaller businesses, which tells you everything. And when enterprise sales stalled, Microsoft pivoted to consumers. Late 2024, they quietly restructured their Microsoft 365 personal and family plans to include Copilot. Sounds generous, right? Except the personal plan price jumped 45%. Family plan, 29%. And if you wanted the original plan without Copilot, Microsoft hid it. The classic version only appeared if you navigated to the cancel subscription page. In Australia and New Zealand, you can't even switch back anymore. The Australian Competition and Consumer Commission sued Microsoft over this, seeking penalties above $50 million AUD. This is the part that genuinely frustrates me. Microsoft didn't just fail to sell Copilot, they tried to force it on people who actively didn't want it, and then punish them financially for not wanting it. Here's where the story takes its most ironic turn. GitHub Copilot, the coding assistant, was supposed to be the crown jewel. Programming is arguably the highest value use case for AI right now. Microsoft owns GitHub, the largest code collaboration platform on Earth, purchased for $7.5 billion in 2018. Perfect synergy, right? GitHub Copilot actually has 15 million users and 1.3 million paid subscribers across 50,000 organizations. Those are real numbers. Not bad at all. But then Microsoft did something that tells you everything about their internal confidence in Copilot. They asked thousands of their own software engineers, the people building Windows, Office, Teams, Edge, Surface, to test Claude Code alongside GitHub Copilot and report back on which one works better. They didn't just test it quietly. They made a deal with Anthropic to bring Claude Sonnet 4.5, Claude Opus 4.1, and Claude Haiku 4.5 into Microsoft Foundry, their Azure AI platform. Even non-technical Microsoft employees, designers, project managers, were told to use Claude. Think about that for a second. Microsoft is publicly telling the world that Copilot is the future of computing, and privately, they're hedging that bet by giving their own engineers access to a competitor's product to see if it's better. Now, to be fair, the reality of coding with AI in 2025 and 2026 is that developers use multiple tools: Cursor for complex multi-file refactors, Claude Code for rapid, simple edits. GitHub Copilot's inline autocomplete inside JetBrains IDEs is genuinely fantastic. I'll give it that. It predicts what you're about to type with scary accuracy. But Microsoft didn't invest $150 billion to build a niche autocomplete tool. The goal was enterprise dominance. Hundreds of millions of paid seats, Copilot as the new Windows, and at 1.8% conversion after 2 years, that vision is collapsing. Meanwhile, Microsoft's stock has dropped over 20% from its October high. The Microslop meme is trending. Someone literally built a browser extension that replaces Microsoft with Microslop everywhere. People are calling Copilot Clippy 2.0. And honestly, Clippy at least had charm. So what's the actual takeaway here? If you're in an organization considering Copilot, here's what I'd actually recommend. Don't commit to a full rollout. Run a focused pilot with 20 to 50 users who have specific, measurable tasks, summarizing meetings in Microsoft Teams, drafting emails in Outlook, analyzing data in Excel. Track their actual time saved over 30 days. Compare that savings against $30 per seat per month. If the math doesn't work, and for most organizations right now, it won't, redirect that budget toward ChatGPT Teams or Claude for Business, where the per-seat cost is lower and the capability gap is real. For individual users stuck with Copilot baked into Windows 11, you can disable it. Search Copilot in Windows settings. Toggle it off. If it's in your Office apps, your IT admin controls those licenses. Push back. You shouldn't be paying more for a tool you didn't ask for and don't use. Microsoft is at a crossroads. They've spent more on AI infrastructure than most countries spend on their military. Their CEO compared Copilot to the most transformative computing shifts in history. And after 2 years, 98% of their own customer base looked at it, shrugged, and said no thanks. The scariest part for Microsoft isn't that Copilot failed. It's that the alternatives, built on the same foundational AI technology, are succeeding. The engine works. Microsoft just built a worse car around it. I've been covering where the AI spending bubble goes from here. If you want to understand why even CEOs are starting to pull back,